You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have that. We do have Nico, who wants to tell you something. Nico, what do you want to tell us, bro?
Brian, hello. This is Nico.
Hi.
Sunday night, just watching the Niners and Cowboys game. Sitting on my balcony, just kind of thinking about the game. I haven't watched any replays or nothing of it, but just listening to their Clayton's after game podcast, and I was just kind of like wondering, I don't know the consensus, because I don't do the Twitters and stuff. I imagine a lot of people are kind of mad because they wanted us to just blow them out. But I mean, when you really just think about it, clearly Jordan wasn't himself. I mean, when he kind of limped off the very first time, coming off the side, I thought, it's no biggie. And then like a couple plays later, he handed the ball off and started skipping. I'm like, oh, wow, that's not good. So he clearly wasn't 100%. And dude, Malik, I tell you,
Dude.
I don't know if he's playing too good because some team might be calling. Dude seems like a great kid. I can't believe Tennessee couldn't develop him. That's props to Matt LaFleur, freaking quarterback guru.
Right.
Just came in unscripted, had that can play.
By the way, underappreciated. I've been pushing this for a while. Very underappreciated Matt LaFleur with quarterbacks. It's all about Matt LaFleur coming from McVay and being like a play caller and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but you got to remember, McVay's like a tight end guy, right? And they all have got their own things that they came up with. We've got a quarterback guy. And again, what he did in Atlanta, which, it had something to do with Shanahan a little bit because he was the offensive coordinator, made a really good offense or whatever. But his quarterback coach was our head coach, and his only year winning MVP was that year. And I just think he's really talented with quarterbacks. He's a great play caller, but I also think he's underrated when it comes to, we have a quarterback coach who gets all the credit. I think Matt LaFleur deserves a lot of credit as well.
Heard the press conference and LaFleur said it wasn't even in the deal, and they just added it the last second. So what a great thing, I mean, this was a freaking gutsy win. I know that the heat had to have been an issue. Say it was like 85 or something. I know how that feels when you're down south. I know how it feels. Just a freaking gritty win. And kind of like I said the other day, I'm okay with them not being 100% now. Man, they when they start putting all the pieces together. And honestly, I think it was Garrett said something about when they put their pieces together. I think we have the final piece. It's the kicker. Dude is freaking money.
Yeah.
Special teams, I don't remember any snafus today. But you know what? I'm liking the win more now than I was right after the game. So I don't know. And also, just so you know, I sent you a picture of a burger I made tonight. Because I'm a food guy,
Yeah, dude.
Food first for me, and then other stuff. So I just want to make sure, see how you're me sending you a picture. Just let me know how it looks. And if I can explain it, it's a smash burger. There's bacon in there. You can see some pork kind of in the middle. That's some carnitas pork I smoked the other day. Kind of put that in the middle. There's a little tomato. There's some homemade, sauce I made. So yeah, it's pretty not bad. But anyways, go Pack go. Let's hope Jordan. This isn't a lingering thing. Muscle issues can be not cool, but hey, go Pack go.
I think maybe that's the next evolution of making food for me is doing cool stuff like that. Like I've made a ton of pulled pork. I don't want to say I've got it down, but I like how I make it. Haven't done burgers in a long time. Probably won't for a while because I'm still trying to eat trying to eat better. I don't know why that twisted my brain up so much. Trying to don't eat never of the don't nots. A lot of negatives. But one of these days, and I think maybe it needs to be like for a party, because there's no excuse to make so much food for yourself and, some little kids that are going to eat 2 bites and be like, I'm full. And then you eat their food and it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, put it away? Throw it in the garbage? They're starving people. I need to be eating all of this. That makes it better. then nobody starves in Africa if I eat it, I think is how that works. But yeah, just got to do cool stuff. Make some pulled pork, make some burgers, make some, bacon, eggs, and then just do like a pulled pork, just assemble what I just said. And then, you got the accoutrements on the side for those that are a little bougie and want to put tomatoes or lettuce or whatever you frickin' people do out there. Try to be accommodating to you people. I don't know. Could be a good time. It's just a matter of if you guys show up or not. I don't know. I don't know if you guys are going to come. I guess I'll just eat it all by myself. How about that? I don't know what we're talking about. Beer Cheese Benny, what are you doing, man?
Hey, Ryan. Happy Victory Monday.
Thank you.
Gosh, dude, I called you out last night. And I'm telling you what, dude, beers were a bad idea in that Florida heat.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have done it. Came home, threw up a little bit, but you know what? We do it for the pack. Do it for the pack.
A little boot and rally.
I had an awesome time, dude. I don't remember what I said yesterday, bro, but people behind me were awesome. Every time the Packers would get a first down, it was kind of like it was at Lambeau, man. I would just get up and I would say, "That's another Packers first down," and everybody else would do it with me. And it was freaking awesome, dude. Geez, dude, I don't understand what's going on with our offense. Like, what Matt LaFleur was doing, man. Like, it should have been easier than that to score.
It felt harder than it should have been, for sure.
But, I don't feel too bad because, think about it this way. Like, this might put things in perspective. The Ravens lost to the 1-6 Browns.
Right.
Any given Sunday, dude.
Right.
Like, it's the NFL, dude. It's pro teams. I mean, I understand that they're not that good, and we should have probably beat the crap out of them. And the Lions beat the living crap out of the Titans. But think about this, man. Lions are coming all high and mighty, thinking, "Oh, we just beat the crap out of the Titans, dude. Now we gotta go to Lambeau. Yeah, they're not gonna have Jordan Love probably." And blah blah blah. Shut up, dude. Let Matt LaFleur cook. He's gonna cook with Willis, and I bet you Halfley's gonna cook up some stuff too, and we'll end up winning the game. So I really don't care, dude. Like, the Lions, they're poverty, bruh. Like, they've been poverty, so they'll go back to it.
Show them what's up.
Like, we'll beat them. Anyways, like, Josh Jacobs is great, man. And it just seemed like.
Well, before we travel too far, and I forget what I was going to say. Yeah, every week is different, right? I mean, I try to do too many things at the same time that don't make sense. I mean, they're both kind of necessary. On one end, you look at it and say, okay, if we take this and we extrapolate it out, here's where we are. And that's a good thing to do, right? It's a necessary thing to do. But also, we can't assume that that's exactly how that works. In other words, exactly what we are is exactly what it's going to be, because the reality is every week's a little bit different. And so, I mean, we know that we do this. We overreact to everything. When everything's great, we overreact, right? We do. It's like, oh, dude, this team is just a powerhouse. Jordan Love is out of control. This offensive line, Matt LaFleur is a genius. Jaden Reed, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then when things go bad, we forget all about last week. Screw that week. That doesn't count. Jordan Love, I'm not so sure about this guy. Matt LaFleur can't call plays to save his freaking life. Like, I don't know what happened to him. He's a freaking bum. The run game just isn't there. The offensive, you know what I mean? Like, the bottom line is next week's going to be different than this week. It doesn't mean good necessarily, but next week the Lions are going to be a different team and the Packers are going to be a different team, and we got to see what that is. I don't know. Now there is a sense of like, well, we're kind of playing the odds. That's how Vegas has come up with what are Packers like a 4-point underdog or something, which is a big one, and that obviously has more to do with the Lions and the Packers. It's not really a spit in our face as much as it is like, no, you don't. The Lions are a freaking powerhouse, which again I don't necessarily agree with. Although it's two different things here. The math says bet on the Lions because even at that, like it should be like I don't remember what it was. I'd have to look, but it was something like they're 3-point favorites. They should be 6-point favorites or something like that. But again, the other thing that I had observed is that, yeah, they blow out bad teams. They don't blow out good teams, though. At least they haven't. Most teams don't. Even really good teams, historically. You go up against another, if you're the number 1 offense in football, and you go up against like the number 4 team in football, you probably don't beat them 55-7. Maybe. Probably not, though. All right, so what are we talking about? Well, it depends. And plus, the other thing is, the reason why, generally speaking, you wouldn't want to bet this game in general, like I know JJ's not betting it. He's got a little system down. And part of it is you don't bet Thursdays, you don't bet divisional opponents. Why? Because they're weird. Weird stuff happens. It's hard to know how a team is going to react because they're so familiar with each other. And so they're probably playing very differently because they know, like, this is how we play to beat the Lions. And they're saying this is how we play to beat the Packers. And it's a whole new game. So, yeah, I mean, it. On one hand, it is, I'm upset that the offense wasn't better. On the other hand, that has nothing to do with what the offense is going to be this week. Because we've seen weeks where it's like, dude, the offense was out of control good. And other weeks is like, man, the freaking defense saved us in that game because we were not going to win that game. So, I don't know, man. I mean, I keep saying the same thing over and over again. The whole coin flip thing, and it's true. You look at it like Xavier McKinney had a bad week. He's never had a bad week before for this team. I don't think ever. It was his first bad week. He's unlikely to have another bad week, so he's probably going to have a good week. Okay, what about Williams? Is he going to play? Is he going to have a good week? What about Jair? If Jair has his first bad week of the season, that could be pretty bad. What if he has his best week? What if he plays like that one Rams game where he has like a 95 PFF grade, breaks up 3 passes and has a pick or whatever craziness? I mean, that's the thing. Like the range of possibilities for any given player is massive. And the what it means for the team is massive. Like if Rashawn Gary, if he has his best game of the year or his worst game of the year, that could decide the game by itself. Now multiply that across the entire team. That's why this stuff's so freaking hard, man. It just is. You can make some general assumptions, but at the end of the day, you look at just about any power ranking and the Packers are a top 5 team. That tells me that the talent is in there somewhere to be able to beat the Detroit Lions, especially at home. Lions are hot right now. Packers got a bye week coming up. Does that make me nervous? Yes, it does. Jordan may or may not be able to play. Does that make me nervous? Yes, it does. But screw it. And on the other hand, feels good to be the underdog. Less expectation. You go in saying probably going to lose because the Lions are real good. And if you come out, barely scraping out a win, you feel great about it this week as opposed to sitting here going, frickin' Packers, dude, you should have blew them out. We'll see. We'll see what it is. I don't know.
Okay, Ryan, here, listen. I hope this is the last one. This should be the last one I do for the week.
Let's see. Right. Let's see if you're a liar.
Here's my thing, dude.
You are not a liar.
People are going to talk about the defense, how they, didn't look all that great. I mean, at the beginning of the game, really, they kept us in it. And the offense should have capitalized on that and scored a couple times to give us a comfortable lead.
I think that's something else we struggle to do is take everything as one whole thing, right? The end was bad, but the beginning was good. You can't just look at the bad part at the end and say, well, look at how much right, but it wouldn't have mattered if they didn't do what they did in the beginning because we would have just gotten blown out. They had to play that well. Now, how does it all balance out? I don't know, probably slightly in the negative because it was pretty bad down the stretch, but it was really good in the beginning. I probably balanced it. I mean, how many points did they even score? I don't think it was that many. I don't even remember anymore. I think it was an okay game. Maybe. I don't know.
Here's the thing, dude, and I've always said this. Your offense is your greatest defense.
Sure.
Let me explain. If your offense continues to put your defense back on the field,
yeah.
I mean,
it's all mathematics, right? So the let's just say the Jacksonville Jaguars score this many points per drive. Give them less drives, they score less points. If every time you go 3 and out, they're going to get a lot of drives. Even if your defense does a decent job in making sure that the points per drive is low, you're still multiplying it by way too many drives. So yeah, keep them off the field and they can't score. That's it. I mean, you're not scoring as much probably. Well, that's not necessarily true. But I mean, if you're staying on the field for a long time, you can't have more drives than they have. It's just it's one that you take turns. So, anyways, whatever.
Defense is just tired. And, dude, I'm telling you, it was hotter than hell there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
There's fatigue going on.
And as much as you want to pretend like, bro, you're a football player, like get in shape, whatever, it matters. The offensive line across the board for the most part had its worst day ever. And it just so happens to be the one day they're playing in 86-degree weather when they're not accustomed to it anymore because it's kind of cooling off in Wisconsin a little bit. No, that's probably not a surprise. You got cramps and everybody's hot, everybody's tired. Whatever.
Your offense needs to keep the defense off the field and score. We've got to stop doing this, man. Your offense is your greatest defense. So if we can do that, none of that crap happens, dude. We would have had a nice lead, and the defense would have been well-rested throughout the game. And it freaking blows. We had all these injuries, and I'm so sick of it, man. But thank God we fired the freaking strength and conditioning coach or whatever the hell last year, because it seems like this year we've been able to get guys back up and going and staying healthy and being kind of good and getting back quick, so that's good. But I kind of wonder if we should just sit Love until after the bye. Like, why not, dude? I mean, we're 6-2. I mean, and as far as...
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. I wouldn't do it arbitrarily. But he has to be 100%. 100%. And I'll even add another caveat. I'd like him to practice this time. Because last time, supposedly, he was 100%. Although we found out when he was playing, even if he was 100%, he wasn't feeling comfortable. He wasn't ready to step into his throws, etc. We need to see him in a full practice, putting weight on it, doing all these things. I mean, we don't want to stress it. I'm not going to tell him to go do frickin' ladders and sprints and all kinds of stuff. Like, let's see if we can tear that bad boy again, see how she goes. But, he needs to be comfortable in the pocket. I'm going to give you the ball. You got to bounce around a little bit, throw it. I got to make sure that you're putting weight on everything and everything's fine. And I would like you to have a day to work with your receivers and go through this stuff. If you can practice for at least a day and we sign up, then you should play. Again, I don't want to do it arbitrarily, but I also have no interest in rushing this. I know it sucks. Like the two times we got to make tough decisions were against the Vikings and now the Lions. It's terrible timing because these are very important games. But I think as we've all kind of said, I haven't heard anyone call in and disagree, having Jordan for the duration of the season so that we can get to and through the playoffs is the most important thing. And yes, losing to the Lions would hinder that, but our record is so good right now, it's not that big of a problem. We should be able to win on the merits of our record and not have to say, well, because we lost to the Vikings or whatever. We have won enough games to where through the rest of the season, if we can pop off 4 more with a healthy Jordan Love, which there's no excuse for not being able to do, and if we can't do that, then we don't belong in the playoffs. With a healthy Jordan Love, we need to win 4 games that we're in on our own merits, regardless of the Vikings and the Lions and whatever. So yes. If he's 95%, he sits.
As I'm concerned, LaFleur knows how to cuck with Willis for some reason.
Yeah.
And so I really truly...
And that's what makes the decision easy, right? If it was a guaranteed loss, I don't know, man. I think we roll the dice with 95 because he's probably going to be okay. And then he'll have a week to rest, But like I said, I mean, the offense, it's not only okay, it's been better. It just has. I mean, Malik is playing like one of the best quarterbacks in football in his limited time, but through 3 games, it's not that limited. He's got like 130 passer rating right now. And as much as I keep expecting that to fall off, it hasn't. So, do we have a worse chance of beating the Lions? Maybe a little bit, but I freaking roll the dice, dude, whatever.
I wonder if LaFleur's going to have a better game plan with Willis than he does with Love. Like, I don't get it, but, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And, hell, if we can get the Lions with Willis, that would be hilarious, and I would laugh, because I got a friend who's a Lions fan. I'm just going to laugh at him. I'm like, oh, you love some Malik Willis? Anyways, I truly believe that this team is great. They just need to clean some things up, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, man, in the beginning of the game when Jacobs was running, dude, I may have said this already, I don't know, I apologize, but he had those big runs, and then they were negated by penalties, Which, by the way, when I was watching,
so much.
the ref threw that shit way after the fact and had no effect on the play. So anyways, my 3 minutes is up. Love you. Go back, go. Victor Monday, baby.
By the way, I'm a little bit iffy on bleeping stuff out. If it gets out of hand, I'll try to do it. Sometimes I just let stuff go. Just understand that After Dark is going to be a little bit more colorful than the regular show. So there you go. Apologize. I try to keep it kid friendly, but the call-in shows, there's a lot of it, and I'm not feeling it. So, no, I agree. I mean, first of all, yes, there are a lot of plays where the holding does not impact the play. And on one hand, I want the refs to be able to look at that and go, it ain't worth throwing the flag. But on the other hand, how big of a freaking moron are you? You probably deserve the penalty. If you're, let's say it's a run to the right, and you are the left tackle, and you hold a guy, or a wide receiver on the left side of the field holding a guy. Good Lord. Yeah, I guess we deserve the penalty because you're that stupid. There have also been penalties. I mean, I guess it's kind of similar where, the ref should throw it because it kind of impacts the play. I'm replaying the one in my mind about Sean Ryan where, yeah, I mean, it was through that hole, and maybe in the heat of the moment you don't think about it because even, in slow-mo it looks a lot worse than real time, where it was probably a fraction of a second where you're grabbing and holding. But there was such a big gap to run through, and he was basically shoulder to shoulder with the guy by the time he started holding. Let him go. That running back there's no way he's catching him. Let him go. But no, it gets negated over and over and over again. It's like at some point we got to trust the running back. At some point you just got to say, look, you messed up. You didn't do your job. Don't freak out. Either, you messed up and he's going to make a play and you ruined the play by letting him make a tackle. Or, because here's the thing. If you hold, you already ruined it. So we don't even get a chance to see if it would have worked. It's ruined. Because most of the time they're going to catch that, especially if you're the guy right there. Maybe he can break the tackle. Maybe the defender can't quite get there because you're still blocking him. Even if you don't have him totally locked up, if you're pushing into him, it's not easy to be pushed backwards and to try to reach one arm out and try to make a tackle. And with Josh Jacobs, he could probably break that. And I would much rather have him, break that and maybe only get like a 4-yard gain than losing 10 yards. But it's like you said before. I mean, they're a great team, but they got a lot to clean up. And it just is what it is. And honestly, the way that I'm looking at this, if we go into the bye with 6 wins, I think we're in a good spot. If we can steal a win here and get 7 wins going into the bye week, we're in an unbelievably good spot. That's really the situation we're in. I mean, there's a lot of pride on the line. You hate to lose 2 divisional games. You hate to fall to the Lions, especially at home, knowing you got some away games coming up against divisional opponents. But look, what I want is to, worst case scenario, come out of the bye extremely healthy, extremely well prepared with 6 wins and 4 more to go. That is the worst case scenario I want. We can make it worse by forcing players to play that shouldn't be playing, and then they go into the bye extremely hurt and then probably not ready to come out the other end. If the worst case scenario is 6 wins going into the bye and coming out healthy, that is solid. Especially since, who are we playing coming out of the bye? It's the Bears. So let's get healthy. Let's get into that bye, and let's start game planning for the Chicago Bears. Let's come out of that bye. Remember, everybody else had pretty early byes, so they're starting to get beat up a little bit. The Bears are now getting completely demoralized. They're in an absolute spiral of hell. Let's come out and kick the living crap out of them. And again, let's assume we lose. That's our 7th win. Then we have the 49ers, who are also in a bit of a hell spiral, coming to Green Bay. Maybe we win, maybe it's a curse. Fine, still 7 wins. Then we have the Dolphins. They're already talking about how they should fire the head coach over there because there's no excuse things are terrible. That's also in Green Bay, so it's back-to-back home games. That has to be a win. That should be 8. We got the Lions again, we got the Seahawks, the Saints, the Vikings, and the Bears. Bottom line is, if you can't get 2 out of that, you probably don't belong in it. You should be able to beat the Bears, the Saints, probably the Seahawks. You should be able to beat the Vikings. And again, the Lions are tough. Hopefully by that point, you're doing better than you were with a healthy quarterback, etc. But I mean, just from a game theory standpoint, as opposed to, man, we should win every game, and if we don't, that means we're not as good, which means we're not going to win a Super Bowl. We're in a really good position here. I mean, the Packers have done themselves a service. We haven't been in this position in a little bit of a while. They've done an unbelievable job. with Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love and this defense and Malik Willis. The job they've done to be 6-2 at this point is amazing. We don't have a huge hole to dig out of. I mean, by week 8 last year, we were 2-5, having lost to the Vikings. That's a huge hole to now. It's like we got to win all our games, and fortunately, we basically did. They only lost 3 more to finish out the season, got them to 9-8, which was barely good enough, but good enough to get in. The year before that, in 2022, we were 3-5. And we lost 1, 2, 3, 4. We lost 5 games in a row. After that, we fell to 3-6. And again, we had to dig our way out. Unfortunately, we didn't do enough to dig our way out because we ended up getting to 8-8 and then losing to the Lions. So we didn't even make the playoffs. But again, it was all those losing streaks that we did. 2021 was the last time we saw something like this. We were 7-1. We ended the season 13-4. It wasn't even close. And that's possible. We could sail to 11, 12, we could have the playoffs locked up well before week 18 this year, which would be nice. Now, granted, we immediately exited by the frickin' 49ers that year, so a lot of good that did. But I don't know. I don't think there's a massive need to panic. I think what we need to do is, number 1, be healthy. Number 2, just get the requisite wins, which should be a relatively easy thing to do. It does not require beating everybody. It certainly doesn't require beating the Lions this week. And then by the time you get into the playoffs, be a team that's ready to win in the playoffs. That doesn't start until January. I'm just saying. All right, let's, holy crap. I'll probably just take one break today because we're about a half hour into this. I didn't realize that. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. I'm coughing. We'll be right back.
Ryan, what's up? Kyle from Madison. It is Victory Monday. So, you've probably seen this by now. Who's 29, the DB for the Bears? Is it Stevenson? Is that his name? I'm sorry, I'm intentionally oblivious to that team. But please tell me you've seen this absolute proof positive that there's karma exists in football because, my God, I'm sure you've seen this. I'm telling everybody what they already know, but just in case you haven't, it's the final play of the game, and he's taunting the end zone crowd.
Yep.
Instead of, and the plays, you can literally see the plays starting, Hail Mary plays starting in the background. And he's like still talking smack to the crowd.
Yep.
And by the time he turns around, he's like way late in the play. So then, immediately he gets served with karma because he's the dude that instead of knocking the ball down, tips the ball up in the air. And then I was reading on one of the Bears sites that actually in that play design, he's the guy supposed to box out the Commanders player that eventually also catches the ball. So it's so beautiful. It's just it's so great. Anyway, as far as our favorite team, vibe check on that.
Well, yeah, and that's the larger story that nobody was prepared, right? The Washington Commanders everybody knew what they were doing. They understood. They were understanding that they needed to pick up those 15 yards to get within range to throw a Hail Mary. The Bears somehow were not prepared for that, didn't even think about that. Then, as far as being prepared, they understood as far as buying time, the Bears did not play that properly. They got a guy spying. They got a guy trying to playing as though it's 3rd and 5, where they're trying to cut him off in front rather than flush him out from behind, which allows him to just continue to play behind the line of scrimmage, back and forth, buying time. And then, finally, all you got is a pile of Bears just standing in one spot as though that serves any purpose, whereas Washington had a guy who was ready to catch a batted ball at like the 5 and a guy who was ready to catch a tip ball in the end zone. They were prepared. The Bears nobody from top down had any idea what the heck they were doing.
I think if we played a clean game and everything went great and we still had the result we had where we just barely beat Jacksonville, I'll be worried. To me, I think it was the first series of the game when I saw Love on the sideline kind of doing that thing with his groin. He just couldn't step into throws after that. Yeah. I think there's a lot of things you can kind of explain. People dropping like flies. And then also, look, I'm not a scout or anything, right? But I've been watching football a lot of years. And one thing I know is no matter how good your defense is, if the game is relatively close, okay, eventually the other team starts moving the ball on your defense, no matter how good you're playing. it's when you start blowing them out and their playbook shrinks. It's like those are when you see shutouts, right? It's not usually like maybe sometimes it's like 10-0, but a lot of times it's like 34-0 or whatever because the playbook shrinks. So like I don't know, I'm gonna have to see what happens. I think some of these guys getting dinged up definitely hurts the defense, but also I do think the other team gets paid too. And eventually, with the game close, they were able to figure out some things that they weren't able to figure out earlier. Had we been able to play a little bit better complementary football, I don't think that they're able to do quite as many things offensively. Jacksonville, that is. So, because you see this all the time. So they did solve it eventually. So I don't know how much I'm going to freak out. Vibes medium. I don't think there's any way Love plays next week, nor should he. One moment, buddy. I'll call you right back.
Yep. Here is part 2.
Yeah, but I think I'm saying, I don't know if the groin injury, and maybe you have more information now, but I actually pulled both my groin muscles when I was 14. I was water skiing, and my skis went boom, each direction, like some kind of a cartoon. Man, it took like 2 months to walk in the right. And now, granted, I was 14 and not an athlete, but we have seen these things linger on guys, granted, he's not at, receiver or a running back or something, but I don't know. I just thought immediately following when he came up a little lame on the sideline there early in the game, couldn't step into it because of the knee. You couldn't really step back in his back foot to plant. And I just picked up the problem. That thing's going to linger forever if they don't let him heal. But I also think it gives us perfect cover because it sets up a situation. This is just my opinion. But the way that the Lions are playing right now, I don't want him going in there because it's just going to be like a repeat of the Vikings where it's like, okay, I think we can do it, but he's coming off injury and we couldn't get it rolling so late in the game and blah, blah, blah. This sets up actually a good letdown game situation for Detroit, I think, or at least makes it possible because in their mind, okay, Willis is playing, the Packers are kind of beat up. We just rolled the Titans. I don't know. I kind of like it. And also you don't take the aura ding as an organization if you lose with Willis. You know what I mean? I think it's like, I don't know. I can see an advantage to that. And then you get, I believe, our bias at it, right? So you're talking minimum 2-3 weeks or minimum 2 weeks you could rest Love. I think he might require more rest than that to make sure the groin doesn't come back. But I don't know. I could just, it's kind of like a win-win then. If you lose, you're supposed to lose. If you win, it's great. And it'll be talking about quarterback controversies and whatnot. But I just see a lot of advantages starting this week. For one, get our quarterback healthy. Other than that, I do think it is such a fine line that separates last year's team and this year's team. Just a couple catches here and there. But you're right. The overall vibe of the team is completely different, even though it's just a few widths of hair difference in certain areas. But it just feels like a totally different team. And I feel like we pretty much are almost to the point where we punched our ticket in the playoffs, kind of. Not quite.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We can get in the dance. And honestly, with this particular team, I probably would rather play on the road. I think it's great with Jacobs in the snow. Would be fun. But, if they get rolling with those receivers, I think I'd rather be in a dome. All right, we'll talk to you, buddy. Take care.
Well, we saw what they did in Dallas in that dome, man. They really tore some stuff up. Maybe that's what they need. They just need to be inside. Should we really piss some people off and say maybe we should build a dome over Lambeau Field? I don't know, man. It's so freaking weird. I've given up trying to figure out what it's going to take. What it takes is consistency, and it's the only thing that scares me about the Packers is the lack of consistency. You look at the Chiefs. They're nothing if they're not consistent, and go figure, they just keep winning Super Bowls. So I don't know, man. Every week is different. Every year is different. We got a long way to go before we figure that out. We got to get in the playoffs first before we get there. Crazy stuff can happen. The Packers could get better. They could get worse. The one thing I'm pretty confident in is they're not going to stay the exact same. So we'll see how she goes. Plenty of reason to believe that they're going to continue to get better. Defense could get a lot worse too. Hafley's kind of a new beast. Maybe people are trying to figure out how to play him and they start figuring it out and things start to fall apart defensively. Maybe our defensive players start playing better. You start getting better pass rush with the front four and get the back end figured out, especially with Evan Williams back. I think that really changes things. I mean, you can try to figure it out all you want, but you got good enough players. Hopefully you can kind of execute as long as you know what you're doing. And I do think that's another good thing about the Halfley's defense. They don't seem to be as confused as they were under Joe Barry. They just the levels of confusion. That's where it got tough too. Where it was like, do you blame Joe Barry for these guys not doing their job, or do you blame the players? It's like, well, it's the players, but also, I mean, you're their coach, dude. You should be able to show them how to do it. I don't know, freaking, what do I know? But we will see. Who knows, man? Who knows? My only job is to try not to overreact to whatever happens in the coming game, which I'm sure I will fail at. I'm sure it's going to be a rough game, and I'm going to be upset, and I'm going to throw many tantrums.
Hey, one last thing real quick.
Sure.
Because I kind of like poo-pooed this idea after Willis, won those first two games. People are talking about, we got to have a package for Willis. And it's like, no, you're not taking the ball out of Love's hand. But yesterday, as I'm watching how much trouble, like when they're running kind of that, I don't know if it's outside counter thing they're doing. It's like, I guess I don't know enough about it, but maybe it's a zone. But they're running Jacobs he goes in and then he counters outside the tackles. And it's been, he had a couple, had they not been holds, I think he probably gets 60, 70 yards just on like 3 of those plays yesterday. And I noticed like when Willis is in there, they kind of figured out a little bit how to defend it. And then you got Willis in there who suddenly can then tuck and then, because the linebackers are the way they were solving it is obviously they're kind of fading their linebackers or cheating to the outside. And then suddenly you have Willis in there. Well, now he can just decide what he wants to do there because he was able to tuck it and get some pretty big chunks just right up the middle because they can't both defend Jacobs to the outside.
Right.
Because the cornerbacks just weren't able to tackle him. It took him like 6 yards to bring him down. So I think actually, I'm not saying you do it every week, but let's just put a pin in that if we're lucky enough to get there because I just think the surprise attack of like 3 plays from Willis, in a game where maybe you need to switch it up a little bit. I actually think I've changed my mind on that.
It's funny that you say that because usually questions like this come up all the time. Like, should we have 2 quarterbacks? It's like, no, dude, you don't do 2 quarterbacks. Like, nobody does it, and it's for a reason. It does make a lot of sense. First of all, the first time you do it, the team has no idea, and they're completely unprepared, and you punch them right in the mouth. So that's number one. Then, even as teams start to figure it out, guess what? Now you have to account for 2 quarterbacks. As much as I was talking about how it's like unfair to have Aaron Rodgers expect new wide receivers, tight ends, offensive linemen, whatever, to come in and learn 2 playbooks, that's what defenses going up against the Packers are going to have to do. You're going to have to learn to defend against not just the quarterback, but that offense. The whole offense changes. The way we play. You're forcing them to do that. That's another huge advantage. And then number 3 is just do what works. If the Jordan Love offense is working, you do it. If it's not working, we run the other offense. And now all of a sudden, you theoretically, you're going to start being able to find holes in attacking things. And if they start changing things up, we can swap in whatever we want, whenever we want. So I don't know. Typically I'd look at that and just roll my eyes and go, that's stupid. But I don't know, dude. As long as you have guys that can execute it. I'm not talking about bringing out freaking Clifford, right? Because I don't trust Clifford. But if you've got a guy that can run an offense as efficiently as your starting quarterback, like as a quarterback, but it also changes the entire dimension of the team and you can possibly find ways to exploit other teams, I think they should explore it. And you say, well, nobody's ever done it for a reason. How many teams have had 2 quarterbacks that are about equally talented? And again, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'm just looking at how it is right now. The offense does not get worse when Malik comes in. I borderline feel like that's negligent to not take advantage of that completely unprecedented advantage that we have.
I saw yesterday, really how difficult, especially the surprise element of it. If nothing else, they burn a timeout, but it looks very hard to defend that. I'm not saying he should get any significant time.
And to continue on, the Saints do also run it, but also in a very inefficient way because the guy's not a good quarterback, really. Occasionally he'll throw a pass or whatever, but you're basically just running wildcat every time the guy's in there. So it's like what the Saints did pretty successfully for a long time, but to a much higher degree because he's just a better quarterback.
Well, it's healthy, but like I do see like, oh crap, we need to get this thing going, or we need to get some juice. We need throw something out there. I can see it working here or there. So I don't want to see some Taysom Hill crap. I don't want to see this regularly, but I'm just saying, just put that away somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that pop up once or twice at very opportune times, hopefully to success. All right. Thanks, bud.
Yeah. And I would guess they're not going to do it. You know, it's so outside of the box, and it's, you know, these guys, just as much as we praise them for being innovative and whatnot, I would say they're at best like 5% innovative. A lot of it is, this is the way we do business, especially the Packers. I mean, the Packers organization are all about, this is the way we do business. It's a huge step to get, you know, that radical with something, to say we're going to run two offenses. And I don't know, man. It wouldn't be the worst thing. I don't know. You'd have to, I mean, obviously there's locker room implication. Oh, they're benching Jordan Love. I can't believe it. It's like, no, we're not benching Jordan Love. We just have two good quarterbacks. And, you know, is Jordan going to handle that really well? And then it's, well, you're paying Jordan all this money to be half a quarterback. It's like, how about shut up because it works? Maybe that. I don't know. I just want to be good at football. If that's what it takes, then let's do it. But it's, I don't hate the only real objection I have is Malik really this good? You know, I don't want to take Jordan off the field if Jordan is Rodgers and Malik is Taysom that's having a good run. You know, then it becomes stupid. But as long as it's really working, and as long as it does give you the option to really stress a defense in a different way, I don't have an issue with it. You know, especially if it just comes down to, you know, teams are playing a certain way and they're refusing to come out of that defense. Malik can possibly break it. You can't play that way against Malik. You can play that way against Jordan because he wants to air it out. He wants to throw downfield all the time. But now, you know, if you're going to be playing a lot of man coverage and you know, whatever it is, okay, fine. You want to get like overly aggressive with your guys, fine. You're setting yourself up for my quarterback running for 40 yards on you. Now you got to change some stuff up. And who knows, maybe they could just switch back. You know, when he comes in, we play this way. I don't know. Just a thought. Like you said, put a pin in it. Just so I would just like to get that to LaFleur and be like, look, I know it's crazy. Just don't let me say it all before you say anything. Unload the whole thing and just say, just think about it. Just think about it. You know what? Talk to Saleh about it. That's his job anyways, right? You're the defensive mind. How are you going to defend me? Okay, I'm going to do diddle. Cool. Check this out. I'm bringing Malik in. How much did that F up your entire week of preparation? If his answer is we're screwed, then you do it. If his answer is I don't care, I'm just going to just move this guy over here and then we're fine, then maybe we don't do it. I don't know. But, you know, explore it a little bit. See how she goes.
Yo, Ryan, it's your uncle, Rico.
Hey.
Go Pack, go.
Thank you. Yes, correct.
6-2.
6-2.
I'm sticking with my third prediction of the 15-2 record. Go Pack, go.
All right.
I'm never going to complain about a victory. Never. I don't even remember that it wasn't ideal. All I know is that we won. Thank the Lord for Malik Heath and McManus. Thank you. Good job. Mm-hmm. Good analysis, scouting, whatever. Whoever did their job to make sure those guys ended up on our team. Awesome. The Bears, I hate to say it, I was kind of impressed with the play of Williams. I think the Bears might have something there. I'm torn between rooting for the Bears to lose and rooting for all the NFC North teams to represent the NFC in the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that, Rye? Do we want to see Packers, of course, winning the NFC North, and then the three wild card teams being the Lions, Vikings, and Bears? Is that what we want? Rico out. Go Pack, go.
I saw something. I think this was after week 7, so I think it's all ruined now. I haven't really looked at it, but it was set up so that the first of all, the entire NFC North was in the playoffs, and this was as of right now. In other words, after Week 7, as of at that moment, I think it was. You had the one team, presumably the Vikings or whoever it was, that was the top team, top seed, and then you had Packers, Lions, Bears, all in the playoffs, but none of them playing each other, which means if each one of those teams won, you would have 4 teams remaining in the playoffs on the NFC side, and they would all be NFC North teams. Don't get me wrong, that would be kind of cool. At the same time, I freaking hate them, and if I can avoid them ever being in the playoffs, I'm going to choose that. So, do I want them in there? No, I don't. I want all of them except the Packers to miss the playoffs. I want them to fail. I want them to lose all the remaining games. I hope the Vikings and the Bears miss the playoffs. I hope the Lions sneak in because that's what the Lions do, but their play continues to decline, and then we don't even have to see them because they get beat by some piece of crap team. So by the time that a team actually faces us in Green Bay, because we got the number 1 seed, it ain't going to matter anymore because the Lions are already gone. That's my preference. Now, don't get me wrong. It'd be cool to get an opportunity to play one of them in the NFC North and kick their teeth in. I just don't want them to be good enough to get to that point. I just don't. You know, that moment would be very satisfying, but long term, they're a good team. And these games are like 50-50 coin flips, so they could easily have come back and beat us next time, which means they might do it next year. I want all this goodness to be a fluke. I want the Lions to start to fall off entirely. I want the Bears to just burn in a pile of tears, which I don't know how you do that, but they're doing it after last week. I mean, if that doesn't crush a franchise, if they come back and fight, which I think they still have a bunch of easy games coming up, but you know, I'm hoping that really hurts them quite a bit. And Vikings continue their skid. That is my personal preference. So there you go.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Yo, Ryan, it's
Yo.
your uncle, Rico.
Hey.
Wait, did I just say Malik Heath? I meant Malik Willis? I don't know. I might have said Heath. Anyways, you know that quarterback guy. Our quarterback. The guy who came in and helped made the comeback, right? I don't know. Anyways, that guy. You know, it's early, Monday morning. Give me a break, guys. Go, Pack, go.
All right, I think we're good there. Last one here, Uncle Rico again.
Yo, Ryan, it's your uncle, Rico.
Howdy.
My brain is waking up.
Good.
I just remembered I wanted to mention Brooks, the running back. It was very mature of him, I thought, to, I don't know, some people would say it was a mistake. We should have took the touchdown and jumped ahead. Maybe that would have been okay, too. I mean, I'm sure it would have been okay, too, but I think it was very mature of a guy who never gets the ball and a guy who may never get a touchdown in the NFL. I think he probably doesn't have any. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, for a guy who gets limited opportunities to layer down and not go for the personal glory, that was very mature and nice to see. Anyways, and then...
well, I'll say this. I'm sure the coaches told him that was what he was supposed to do. So if he ever wants another touchdown, he had better get down, because that would have really screwed him up if he'd have just said, nah, I'm going to go ahead and get that touchdown, especially if we lose. That dude ain't going to see the field for a while.
I seen the same thing kind of in the 49ers game. I'm sure he gets way more opportunities and he'll get way more touchdowns. That Garendo kid that originally played for the Badgers, he did the same thing at the end of the Niners game. He laid her down. So nice to see that kind of thing in the NFL. Sure. That's not, a me thing all the time. So Kool-Aid. No, not Kool-Aid. I didn't watch him play.
How is Kool-Aid doing?
Go. Rico out.
What's Kool-Aid up to these days? Cool. Should be enough, right? Kool-Aid McKinstry for New Orleans. How is that guy doing? He's doing all right. 68 PFF grade as a rookie. I mean, he had one good game, kind of consistent throughout. They used him as a safety a couple weeks, too, which is kind of interesting. He got a 66 coverage grade, 21 targets, 15 receptions, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. That ain't bad. That ain't bad for a rook. You know what I mean? I'll take that. But yeah, I mean, I think the Packers really like Brooks. That's become evident. You can just kind of tell when it's like, wait, who is this guy that's getting a massive amount of snaps all the time, just randomly? It's like, well, he's a 2024, especially when it's a 2024 guy. So it's like, every once in a while there's a gem, and you never know who the gems are going to be. And he doesn't have a long track record of just being bad at football where you look at it and go, this is kind of a fluke. So it kind of gets you excited, like, what we got going on here? What are you guys doing? Kind of weird, right? Undrafted free agent. We know Emmanuel's good, right? It's kind of weird. He's getting more snaps than Emmanuel Wilson, isn't it? What are we? Actually, you know what? Screw that. Real quick, let's take a look at Brooks, because I don't know anything about the guy. Interesting. So, first of all, a little bit of an older guy. He's 25. He spent 5 years in college, and his last year was 2022, not 2023. He spent 4 years at Cal. He really only seemingly started 2 of those 4 years. He had 45 snaps year 1, then 246, then 24, then 141. So I don't know if there's just a ton of injuries here or what, but the 2 years that he started, he had an 80 rushing grade, and then in 2021 it was an 89 rushing grade, 607 yards, 5.2 yards per attempt, and 4 touchdowns. Then in 2022 he goes to BYU, 129 attempts, 820 yards, 6.4 yards per attempt, and 6 touchdowns. He had 3.88 yards after contact, 36 missed tackles forced, 106 elusiveness grade for whatever that's worth. 6'1", 220 guy, so it's, maybe an inch too tall or something, but he's in that Gutekunst range, the heavier backs. 4'6", 40, 37-inch jump, 10'2" broad, da-da-da-da-da. Let's take a look at what some of the people said. Power running back. Brooks is known for his downhill north-south running style, runs with good forward lean and body control. In 2022, Brooks ranked 8th among draft-eligible running backs with 3.88 yards after contact per carry. Described as a one-cut runner, able to make decisive moves, get upfield quickly. Brooks has shown proficiency in pass protection, which I've mentioned that before, that I think they like him more as number 1 a receiver and number 2 as a pass blocker, and maybe it has more to do with we don't trust Emmanuel in that spot as much as Chris Brooks. I don't know. Either way, still impressive. Also, receiving skills, again. Throughout his college career, Brooks demonstrated good hands and ability to contribute to the passing game. Let me actually check his passing stuff, receiving, actually. Let's see. Didn't grade out actually super well as a receiver, but he did it. He had 131 yards his last year at Cal, 98 yards on 10 receptions at BYU. Didn't get utilized as much, I guess. NFL coaches have praised Brooks for his intelligence, work ethic, and ability to quickly pick up a new system. I'm sure that impresses the Packers. Again, everybody loves this stuff, but some teams seem to prize it a little bit more. Gutekunst really seems to put a heavy emphasis on intelligence and being able to pick up the system and whatnot. Also, work ethic. It all kind of goes hand in hand. You can be as intelligent as you want. If you're not putting in the work, it ain't going to matter. But, again, a lot of these guys, you might take a brief look early when we get our initial undrafted free. I'm sure we looked at them, and I just don't remember. But it's just a pile of guys. You probably never see them. Kind of a throwaway deal. And then one of them starts to emerge, and it's like, let's take a look at this guy real quick. Let's just see. So, have to keep an eye on him for sure. His role has kind of exploded with the Green Bay Packers, and he's now sort of like splitting evenly with Emmanuel Wilson, which, again, I was a little surprised that was a thing. Oh, it's because he was picked up in 2023 by Miami. That's why. I was like, why? I thought he was a 2024. Well, I'll just negate freaking everything I said. Don't worry about it. Anyways, he did pretty well for Miami, by the way. 2023, he had an 82 grade in the regular season. So, anyways, don't listen to me. What are we talking about? Let's get out of here. You guys have a good rest of your night. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
6'1" and 219. The biggest back you've never seen. From Cal to BYU to Green Bay scene. Chris Brooks is about to make you scream. Who's that rumbling down the field? Making linebackers have to yield. Brooks is coming, better clear the way. The Packers' secret weapons here to play. 0.8 yards after contact. See, this undrafted gem's gonna set us free. Who's that rumbling down the field, making linebackers have to yield? Brooks is coming, better clear the way. The Packers' secret weapons here to play. From practice squad to rushing star, breaking tackles near and far, like a diesel train in shoulder pads, making defensive coaches mad. Who's that rumbling down